Good morning. It's Saturday, December 11th, and welcome to a special live edition of Slow Home Studio.
My name is John Brown, and this is Matthew North, and today we're going to be working through the design projects that everyone submitted for Marilyn's project in Kingston, and we're going to also show a couple of examples that we've got.
Yeah, so we interviewed Marilyn in yesterday's episode, and a lot of people had the night to work on it, and we were excited. I love waking up on Saturday morning and looking at all the submissions and seeing what people did. It's always really exciting, and we had some great renderings and great images, so we should start and go through the project.
Exactly. So I thought a little bit of a review for those of you that didn't watch the Friday episode would be appropriate. These are the drawings that Marilyn sent in. This is actually the part of the house that we're working on. It's only a piece. We've got another part of the house over here. This is the living room. There's the entry into the house here. The best part of this house, and you'll see this in a minute, is actually that it's on the water, and it's on the St. Lawrence Seaway, and it's a beautiful property. We've got some issues that Marilyn wants to talk about. First of all, they plan to live in this house for 10 more years. They've done renovations to other parts of the house. They just want to do some upgrading to this.
That was interesting, I thought.
Yeah,
they had a timeline. I was thinking about that for the rest of the week, and I thought that's really interesting to say, we're going to be here for 10 years, and then she thought that the next person who bought this house would actually knock it down. So it puts a context into the whole scale of the renovation, and you have to approach it modestly. But it's a really interesting idea.
So the scope of the project, the design brief was to look at redoing the bathroom. It wasn't. This is a family bathroom, and also serves as guest and master.
Yeah, they didn't need an extra bathroom, so
no.
They were on the slow home side of the fence that said we can get away with one bathroom.
That's right. And interested if it worked to have the sort of double that entrance in, but it wasn't necessary. Then in here, it was more a question of organizing the master bedroom. There was the sort of two closets that were sort of awkward, made a kind of crazy way to get into the room.
The bedroom's big. There's lots of floor space.
It actually kind of floats.
It does, yeah. And the bed, she's got a great bed. That was one of the things that she wanted to keep, was her furniture was really cool. But there's too much room around the bed. It's one of those proportional issues. And when we look through the schemes, we'll see how people dealt with that.
There's also a study over here that has the view out to the water.
And that's really the best place in the house.
And double doors that go into the living room right there. This is a fireplace flue. It's not actually a fireplace. Yeah. It's a flue.
That used to be on the outside of the old house.
The outside of the old house. Exactly. So let's have a quick look through. There's the house. We're looking at this side, so that's the bathroom window, and that's that window in the bedroom. A little closer view. So we're really dealing with this side of the house. And it's interesting because I didn't show the other side, the other pictures on the other side of the house when we had our first interview yesterday. So you'll see that because the house doesn't look like much, but the other side is really something. So now we're coming into the house, and that's the hallway with the bathroom right behind that wall. And you can see that those are the windows to the living room that have the big view out to the back. That is now that hallway coming down, and I think just about everybody just left that wall. Yeah, because we don't want to have a view into the bathroom.
No, that was our big no-no from 2 weeks ago.
Here's the bathroom. So this is looking in this way, and we can see it's got a fairly large window on that side, and kind of an awkward layout.
It is an awkward layout because you've got all that floor space in front of the tub right at the door, and then you see the end of the vanity. That's not a great
another view
arrangement. Yep.
And now this is coming in to the bedroom, and you can see that there's that kind of awkward, tight space right here.
Yeah, and you get a sense of how much square footage there is in the bedroom because you can see it with the scale of the bed.
And then we've got the bed. It's a very nice bed. Not a lot of windows on this one side. There was some privacy issues, and Jim had some ideas about that. And now this is looking back this way, so we can see that's that fireplace flue and the closets, which Marilyn really didn't like, and then going around to the study. Yeah, another view of that. Now you can start to get some sense of what the outdoor is like. There's the view from here, looking right through. This is coming around. I don't think we showed these photographs yesterday. This is the view through the double doors into the living room, and then this is the living room, so you can see through into the double doors. So that's looking this way.
Yeah, and actually we were asking about where the dining room was. Remember, we were talking about
Yeah,
that.
so
So
the
it's
dining
right.
room
Yeah,
is
it's
right-
right there.
It's
So that's
right there. And now this is, of course, why you want to do this.
Yes.
there's the view of the river, and that's the view of the house from the back. So it really is a spectacular piece of property. And I think that when you see this, Marilyn's probably right that when this house gets sold, it probably will get replaced by a much bigger house. So you do need to be cognizant of that you don't want to go and put a lot of money into this.
Marilyn is with us live on the chat, so if any of you guys have questions that you want to ask her, feel free to type them in. And if you have any questions for John and I, I'll be watching my laptop as we go through this.
So here we have the existing plan, and the first project that was submitted was by SN, our friend from Europe, and he did a pretty simple plan, which I thought was really quite nice. Basically, just kind of reorganize the bathroom into the configuration that just about everybody chose. It's the one that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody did that. They basically used the same square footage and just made it really simple.
And then we've got the a bank of closets. I think that also makes sense to
Yep.
do that right there.
Yep.
And then he added a window, so he's got the existing window and then another window
Yeah,
on the
because
side.
the issue was that side yard window. They were nervous about putting windows on the one side yard because of the view to the neighbors. So
Right, and then that centers the bed.
Yep.
Did some interesting things with the fireplace.
Yep, which we'll see.
And then put a new floating table in there.
And wowed us all with the renderings.
of course,
I had
as
to look
always,
at, I'm
his
sorry, I had to
renderings.
look at this like 4 times because I thought they were photographs from like Dwell magazine or something. I don't know how SN does these renderings. They're unbelievable. They're so well done.
Yes.
I can just whip them off. So
this is looking into the room with the window, the new window on the side.
yeah.
This is that sort of plank desk, and he actually has a detail where he thinks about how it might go outside. I'm not sure that that's going to work in the
And he's
old
got
Canadian
Slow Home
weather.
on his laptop.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah, it is
Doesn't
nice.
everybody?
Yeah.
And then we've got the one last view looking through.
Yeah, and that's that fireplace. I mean, it's got a real character feeling to it. It's a bit sort of farmhouse modern, I think, is what he's done. It looks cool.
So the next one is from Terry, and Terry took a similar kind of scheme, except this time she what Terry did is actually put the closet on the other side so that it was centered on the window,
Yeah.
and then created a kind of dressing area here, reducing the size of the bedroom,
Yeah.
which I think is a reasonable thing to
Yeah,
do.
again, changing the proportion. I really do like the idea of having that separate dressing area that you can kind of slip in behind.
Yeah.
And I like the proportion of the bedroom. It's good.
The only thing I worry a little bit about is whether it's too tight that way, whether the bed's oriented the right way. That would be my only concern, because I actually worked on a scheme that was kind of similar to this.
And it was tight.
And where I rotated the bed, but we'll talk about that in
Yeah.
a minute. And then there's a clear story window above the bed, which I think is
Yeah.
a nice move, a window seat, and then leaving the study pretty much nice.
Yeah.
What I think is nice about this is that it starts to create that zone here and takes up that space.
Well, the thing I like about it is it's sort of like a hotel suite, right? Like the bathroom and the closet are kind of grouped together in one part of the plan, and
Yeah.
so you could get ready in that area, and the bed is a little bit more removed from everything
True.
else, and I think that works really well for 2 people.
The next one we've got is from Frances GF, who
Yeah.
we worked with Frances a little while ago on her projects. So
Yeah.
Thanks for continuing along with us and contributing your
Interesting,
thoughts.
because it's an alternate arrangement to Terry's, right? So instead of the closet being against the bathroom, the closet is against that back wall. I actually think that's kind of clever, because that's the area of the house where Marilyn was concerned about putting a window because of the view to the neighbor. So by converting that into the closet, and I think the way Francis has rendered it is done with a bit of a sort of a millwork thing, because it's not a full thickness wall, so
Yeah.
it's sort of integrated into the headboard. I think actually that's a nice thing to do.
A nice strategy. Yeah, and then made the window, I think is the window the same? Or did it get
No, the window, it was expanded. Yeah, so there's a little bit of an additional bit of window there.
And now this is Bit America Mom. It's nice to have you back and participating. Similar to Terry's
Yeah,
idea.
to Terry's, but the bed's been flipped.
That's right. The bed is now
So-
flipped and turned. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which
and-
I think maybe works a little bit better with the proportion of the room.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good strategy as well, to have the bed facing that direction. And I think that because the thing is that you walk by the bed on the side, and I like that. It makes the circulation very clear as you go around into the study.
The one question I'd have is this distance there, and whether it's getting a little tight. and
Between the
length
night
of that,
table and,
yeah.
the wall and the fireplace, yeah, it is a little bit tight. But I think that the night tables, they're custom built, right? So I think you could actually shorten that, move the bed up,
Right.
you know, take 6 inches out of each one and just shift the whole thing up, and I think it would work good.
This is an image that Jim N submitted, and it was an idea for how to deal with a side yard condition that
Yeah.
had some privacy concerns.
Yeah, so what Jim Ann suggested is he found this project and it had windows on a 45-degree angle so that you had a view actually towards the front of the house and you get the light in and you don't have privacy issues so the neighbor can't see into the room. And that was his comment on the blog, was he was concerned about that long bedroom wall without having any windows. So he came up and searched and found this, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I also think just as that there's also some other nice things about this project. I think this large window is really nice. It's obviously there's a kind of long corridor that we've got to
Yeah.
get to another piece of the house, and then by having that window, the windows on this side, clear story, the higher space this way, I think it creates something that's much more open and connected to that the outdoor space, and
Yeah.
then you can start to see it looks like it's quite a nice house in the back with the sliding doors that
Yeah.
open up. And this actually, I just noticed this actually opens all the way up. That
Well, it's like
window.
a nano wall.
But it's a nano window.
Like a nano window. It's up off the ground.
So, but I don't know if everybody else saw that, but that's actually the window.
Yeah, there's no glass in that.
There's no glass.
I was looking at the picture thinking, oh man, it's really clean.
Yeah, no, I was too.
They indexed it just before they took the picture, but then you could see that the windows are all folded because that would be one big piece of glass.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're looking at
Frank.
Frank, and Frank took a similar position to who was it that had
Francis had
Francis,
the closet on
who had
that side.
the dressing area
Yeah.
on that side. But I think what's interesting here is that he's made a kind of spatial connection through like that,
Yeah.
which I think is nice. So we've got dressing, as he says, resting, and then
Yeah.
working.
Well, Frank is the king of inside-outside visual connections. That's what he has been doing. He did that at the last few projects, and he's done the same with this one with the Zen garden. He's made that sort of space, and it's a shallow space, and then he's visually connected it. I think he's done a couple of really interesting things. I want to just look at the window placement, because if you look at where he's got the window here, he's making a connection so that when you're sitting at the desk, you actually have the long view out in both directions, which I think is really cool. And then he's done the same thing from the bed. So he's placed the windows in the renovation really, really well. And then he's created this sort of garden, which is, I can imagine it's got, you know, sort of a low fence or a wall and then really sort of intense vegetation in that one little spot. So you've got something really nice to look at. I also really, really like the fact that the closets are built in and then they're tied into this window seat as one piece of continuous millwork, and then also connected visually, I can imagine, to the desk. So there's this one sort of zone of built-in stuff that carries along the whole backside. And then the bed is a floating object, and I think the proportion that he's got of moving around it is really, really good. I think that there's enough space. It's a little tighter against the window wall, which I think is okay because the window is going to give you the illusion of more space. And then he's left more room here in the circulation area, which I think is great.
Yeah. There's one other thing that I want to mention. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit.
Clean up my drawing.
Clean up your drawing. Yeah. Is over here on this side, there's a little note, optional rolling art door. And I think that's a really great idea to put a door there, the option of a door there. Because all you need to do is close that and suddenly this whole thing becomes an ensuite.
Yeah.
And so if you're there by yourself, you can do that. If you have a guest, you can close that off and you've got that kind of privacy, but it lets it move. And it could be an art wall, it could be a piece of glass, it could be anything. Not a very expensive thing to do, and I think it could actually
I think it's
do a
really
lot.
nice because what it does is it recognizes the fact that this is a house for 2 people 95% of the time,
That's right.
and it provides that level of detail as an ensuite. And then for the 5% of time where you need it as a guest bathroom, you just open it up, and
Yeah.
you've got an enclosure door on the other side to separate the bedroom from the bathroom. So it's brilliant. It's
Yeah, I
really
think
well
it's a
thought
very
out.
nice, and of course
Love the hand drawing.
Love the hand
and the
drawing.
notes.
So Frank also submitted some photographs from existing projects that sort of illustrate his ideas. And so here we've got the bed floating in the middle of the room.
So it
with the
doesn't go to
space
the
behind
ceiling.
It doesn't go to the
So
ceiling.
that's really important. So it's read as an object within that space.
And just as a note for this project, I think what's interesting is that the windows are high, as Terry had talked about, for clear story, and that the sill of the the bottom sill of that window looks like it pretty much aligns with the top of that. So you get a sense of there being one zone here and then another zone. And so there could be anything happening on the other side of the wall, and it doesn't matter. You're not really getting any sort of privacy kinds of concerns.
Yeah.
And then this is an example of the kind of block millwork piece and how that would sit. So that's actually sort of the idea of that.
Yeah.
Now these are some beds.
Yeah.
Actually quite similar to
Marilyn's actual
Marilyn's
bed. Yeah,
bed,
they're
which is-
similar because she had the sort of connected night table to the headboard idea.
And I think this is also interesting too, because you can see how the bed connects through to this, and there's this sort of sense of there being a kind of elongated millwork piece, which is somewhat similar to what he had been
And then clear story again, you know, I think, and I really like that. This is the idea, I think, also of that garden in close proximity to the windows and having something that's very intensely planted in a sort of a shallow space that you can look at.
We saw that in several houses in Seattle. Remember we were there a year ago, and there were those. I mean, it reminded me because this is looks like a kind of Pacific Northwest vegetation, but they're really tight and lots of glass. And you have that kind of immediacy of the
lots of
vegetation,
ferns.
And it was really powerful.
Bright and green. Yeah, they're
really
really
something
cool.
to do. So a shallow garden that you kind of look at, it's a garden that's meant to be looked at, is really big. It doesn't need to be more than 3 or 4 feet.
No.
It can get natural light. Of course, it's not, in Maryland's case, it's on the north side, so you have to be careful about what kind of plants you choose.
There are plants that
but
grow
there are.
north,
There are. Okay, so now we can talk about our take, and we actually came up with 2 ideas, one of which we developed a little bit further into 3 dimensions, and it really had to do with the closet. And so we starting out with the basics. We sort of followed along with SN's idea of just getting all of the closets along that side right there, and then taking a little piece of this out for a linen or a linen closet on that side. And then what I want to talk about the bathroom a little bit, because that was something that was, to me, I thought was a bigger part of the project than other people did. So what I wanted to do was to see if it was possible to have a kind of segmented bathroom in this scheme, where you could have a guest bath kind of configuration of a vanity and the toilet, and then have a separate room for the
shower, like
a wet area, so that we can have the door, have the shower there, move the window over a little bit like that, so that somebody, if you do have guests, you can just close that off, and it becomes a more kind of formal powder room there, and then this becomes a wet area, and then that's why that towel storage is over on that side. Yeah. So then what I thought is I was enamored with the idea of the bed over on this side. Yeah. Because of the way it would let you look out to there. And so I put the bed there, and then added a bigger window there with a chair, and then tried to do something here, because I was interested in how you sort of, what you saw when you came this way. So I actually extended this a little bit so that it lined up with that, and then made that a bookcase around like that. Basically kind of framed this all in so that it could be, made that a little bit bigger, so that you could have bookcase on this side and bookcase all the way kind of down on there. And make this, try and take up a little bit of the space that was in that part of the house, and make something that was nice to look at, and an object that you kind of walked around. And it's really a very, very simple thing to do. We're just adding some drywall here and some drywall, and then either that's a bookcase or it's something that's built in.
Yeah. I think the thing that's interesting about this scheme is that from a renovation cost point of view, this is very minimal.
Yeah.
Like there's really not a lot of work. I mean, the bathroom is more or less in the same position, so there's a bit, I mean, the bathrooms were going to be redone anyways, right? So, but in this case, we've chosen a framed closet, so it's a basic sort of closet piece. It's not a millwork piece. And then you could or not do the millwork piece around the fireplace. It wouldn't sink the scheme if you didn't do it. I think that it is nice to have you come in and have a look at it. But I think this is would be a very simple thing to do.
Well, and I agree that I don't think this is absolutely necessary, but I think from an architectural point of view, it's fairly significant, because one of the things that really bothered me about the original room was just the kind of sloppy, angular way in which you came into it. And I think that by lining these up, and that might even have a lintel above it,
Yes.
as a kind of doorway, it creates this zone, which extends the hallway, and then it creates a really clear space for the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then connects this way
Yeah.
to there.
Yeah, so as a sequence of coming into it, you've defined all the spaces. Yeah.
So the next one was to say, what if we tried to have a bathroom that actually did allow for two entrances? So starting with that, in that case, the sink would go there, and then we would have the shower would go more like that, and then this would become the toilet room at the end with a sliding door, and then we would have a door there into the bedroom as a kind of basic idea to hide that door and to create a bit more of a dressing area. I added a freestanding closet this time there, so that you've got that dressing area there. Move the window over so that it centers on the opening like that, and then created a kind of shelf that creates a visual focus for the bed that way, and then still allowing this to come down. And then here, because this closet isn't as big as the other closet, there's also the option to add a closet over on this side if necessary.
Yeah.
So there it is when it's all finished. This wouldn't go all the way up to the ceiling. It would just be a piece of millwork that you could potentially take with you when you left. If you had it made, it could be something that goes with the bed.
Yeah.
And then you're really not doing it much of anything, and you wouldn't really need to do that. It was just more a question of whether there was enough space. So let's have a look at some of the renderings. This is kind of looking this way, and you can see see this piece here with with basically a kind of wall color going around, and then wood doors on the inside. This is looking from here,
Standing sort of at the window, looking back
with the door into the bathroom.
Yeah.
Now, I know Marilyn said she didn't want a TV, but we just couldn't resist because maybe other people want to have a TV.
You could put a piece of art there, or you could put a sculpture. You could put books. You could put whatever. We just did it as a floating shelf, and we just put a TV on it.
So this is kind of looking that way, and just this idea of the shelf that would wrap around, and then so that it would bring you kind of around the closet, and then dropped a bit of a detail there, so a place for some books, and if you did have any components, and then the big window out to the door. I have to say, I really like Frank's idea of opening that up. That's a more substantial renovation.
Yeah.
I was trying to be really, really modest with
Well,
this.
I want to just say that proportion of window I think works really, really well, because if you're not going to go and do the whole garden thing in the front, that gives you a little bit of privacy because it's about probably three feet off the ground, something like that, and then you get still the sort of landscape proportion of it, so it gives you a lot of daylight and a nice big view.
This is actually laying in the bed, looking out, so that you see the door out. This is the window that is centered on that closet, and then we've got the composition of that.
Frank just said one inexpensive source for short-term millwork is prefab closets from IKEA. Yes.
Exactly, it is. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
good
we've
idea.
used those before. What you need to do is figure out what their dimensions are before you start framing,
Yeah, exactly.
and then leave half an inch.
Yeah.
And then that's looking this way at that, so that you can start to see how you can look out. This was also trying to clean this up, and this would work in either scheme. This was this idea here of this block that it just gives you a place for some art, and it's not that the fireplace, and it all looks a little piecemeal, I think. And it also gives you a sense in both schemes of this idea of that zone of space right there that
Well, it's nice
develop.
because the entry to the bedroom is tucked in around the corner, and I think that's really
you
nice.
see that there.
You see it but it's like it is back in behind. I think it's really nice.
And then this is the last image that we've got, is what it would be like to lay on the bed and look out into the view.
Yeah, and we just did regular closet doors, like MDF closet doors on the around the fireplace flue. So we've encased that in drywall and just framed it in, just to finish it off.
Well, that's the end of our scheme description. I think it's really interesting to see the range of solutions and actually how they kind of clustered around a few different ideas about where the closet would go, where the bed would sit, and then the relationship to the outside, both to the front and also to the back.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that everybody did is that they all were very conscious of the proportion of the bedroom, and they all tried to make the scale of the bedroom fit the bed, which is something that we talk about all the time. And they did that either by placing the closet, and half the schemes had sort of a walk-in, but none of them had a big none of them had a big closet area. They all seemed to, everybody was consistent with the sort of way of dealing with the closet. It was always like a row of closet, and it was either tucked around a corner or it was just freestanding in the room or something. So it was interesting. I found that very interesting how that was dealt with. And then a lot of people paid a lot of attention to that area between the study and the bedroom as well, detailing it with extra bookshelves or a window seat, trying to create something in there that's more meaningful than just the hallway between the bedroom and the study. So I thought that was really good.
I agree. Well, Marilyn, I hope that all of this has helped and given you some direction in where you might want to take this house. It's a beautiful lot, and you're a very lucky person to live in such a beautiful part of the world. And I hope that these suggestions will help you make your bathroom and your bedroom a great place to live for the next 10 years, and that it doesn't expand the value of the house too much. So we will be back next week with some new programming, and then we will also be talking about our Christmas schedule.
Yep.
See you then.
See you next week.